Okay, let's move to number 6, update on the village project, village management.
Thank you, Mayor. The first thing for discussion or an update is Lake Michigan Water. Our attorney, Matt Burns, sent out an email in reference to, and I know we passed it out the last meeting, in reference to the court order that we have with the IEPA, and he wants to know if you have any questions or concerns regarding that court date. It's not in this package, it was in your package before. Moving forward, I have met with Jim Zion and Kevin Weller of Public Works as we're putting together the program to do the emergency connection, which we all know is part of the original program. Tomorrow I'll be meeting with Chicago Heights as well as South Chicago Heights Mayor to start negotiations and discussions in reference to connecting for our emergency preparedness. That we need to have our emergency hookup through the high school or whatever means necessary for us to be able to do that. We're also looking at doing an emergency plan. We have a rough draft. The fire department, Fire Chief and Chief Atwood have been very helpful in putting that together in reference to drinking water in case we need to have that. It is too preliminary right now, but we should be bringing you something probably at the next committee meeting for you all to review our emergency action plan that you all need to review and approve so that we can give it forward to the court. But I need to put it together in a more timely fashion once it happens. This is a rough draft of an emergency action plan. It was myself, the engineer, Kevin Weller, as well as the fire department are putting together a plan that we can put together, review with the attorney, and also look forward to IEPA.
Okay, now, who's the water expert in all this? I know you and Manny have to be involved, but do we have a water engineering expert company involved in this plan?
Right now, today, the plan that you all put forward, that the board put forward, is the Robinson Engineering Plan. I believe it's dated March of last year, 2011, is the plan that we're working off of. I do believe that Jim Zarnick mentioned that he may be bringing a specialist to the meeting on tomorrow at 3 o'clock from his company to help address those issues. But like I said, we haven't had any meetings other than our staff. But when we come back, I'll have a written report for you at that time. But I need to have our first preliminary meeting.
Well, I have a problem because there is a draft of an emergency action plan for a water connection, correct?
The draft is actually to address in case one of our wells, well 1 or well 2 goes down. According to the court order, we have to have a distribution plan to pass out water in case of an emergency. That is a plan I'm speaking of. An action plan for us to put into place, which is why I use the expertise of our fire department as well as our public works. As soon as the plan is in this first draft, we will be bringing the police department because you can imagine when it's some traffic control and things such as that.
And so this plan is not a limited water connection plan, it's just a passing of water.
It's an action
water
yes.
for the public to drink in case one of our wells is shut down.
Correct. Now, the emergency connection was part of the plan that Robinson Engineering put forward. That was all our public hearing meetings.
Right.
Is the connection, I believe the connection at Bloom High School, and we talked about that, is not in the 19 million figure. I believe that figure is somewhere between $400,000 and $450,000. That was a plan that was always done, which would have to be done regardless of the work being passed or not. That emergency tap on is what I will be meeting with tomorrow with our engineer. They're supposed to be bringing their specialists from Robinson Engineering, as well as Tech 3, which is the engineers for South Chicago Heights. The Robinson Engineering represents also Chicago Heights. We're meeting with those mayors to start those negotiations and talks of water so we can come back and bring on. They're not bringing their attorneys yet, so we need to bring ours. But we need to start talking about preliminary to get to Lake Michigan Water in 2016.
Just want to make sure that we do those preliminaries, that we do have water experts to help create those plans and do that construction work. Because Robinson Engineering, to our knowledge, is not an environmental engineering company. They are not. So to have them try to create a connection plan, Lake Michigan Water, would be inappropriate for our citizens if they're not experts. So we need experts on this job. We don't want to put this on the backs of if it goes on the backs of some of the taxpayers of this money, and yet we're going to huge issue because we allow an engineering company that is more civil than environmental. We just can't have it.
Well, Trustee, what I will do is, when I meet with Mr. Zoner tomorrow, I'll definitely express to him that he needs to bring everyone up to speed of where we are in a written report for you to have and to review, and anyone from this company that specializes in water, because those are kind of things we need to have, and environmentalists as well, that you'll see who the players need to be at that time. I'll have that and let him know that he'll be here to report from the board.
Couple of questions I have. If you go back, this goes back quite a few months, we talked about, I know the IEPA is concerned if one of the other wells go down, well, one or two, because we only have 2 active right now. One of the suggestions was bringing in a portable airstripping device for well number 3, so that we would have well number 3 up and running, and we would not be in violation of the IEPA. It was only mentioned at a few meetings. I'd like to know, again, something from Robinson Engineering on what that would end up costing the village if we were able to put a portable airstripping device in well number 3, and I'm saying well number 3 only, which if we had all 3 of our wells up and running, we would be in compliance with the IEPA.
Yes, sir. One of the things we're looking at is weather stripping to find out where the location is, and as soon as we find out when we can find it from our company that repairs our wells now, we'll have some prices for you. We're also talking to vendors in reference to getting portable water as well, and we're also talking about water restrictions. If one well goes down, for example, if well 1 goes down, we'd have to put up water restrictions only to say you can't, water your flowers or your grass, wash your car, those kind of things. So we want to put those kind of scenarios in place that we can agree to. But again, it's very preliminary, this plan that we have, very preliminary, just first draft, and so we want to be able to really work hard. But our goal is to have these things done, approved by you, looked at by the attorney as well, and Matt Byrne is the lead attorney on this, and bring it to a plan that we need to do so by the end of this month, end of April. Because this court order, I think, was issued on the 27th of March. So they're giving us 30 days to come back with a plan. We'll also have a better affirmation as to where we are in connection for the emergency connection, if that can happen. So we want to have these meetings going forward. Mr. Mohan is here for another topic on the agenda, but also we've gone forward to talk with South Suburban mayors and managers. Ed Pazel was very accommodating to us to prepare for us to look at getting some funding for this emergency situation. I believe somewhere, and I'm sorry, it's either $400,000 or $450,000, but we asked for $500,000 for an emergency transfer to help do this emergency connection. Because this $400,000 emergency connection price was not part of the $19 million that was actually put on the referendum question. And so Mr. Mohan has met with Ms. Sanchez, is that right? Eileen Sanchez from that department to start preliminary doing that, to get all the paperwork together. Again, Trustee Burgess, please don't pipe up, but one of the key things is that we have to have the audit in order to go forward. So hopefully we'll have the audit, or at least a draft, by the 9th of April. Mohan's meeting with him Thursday and Friday. Thursday and Friday to finish the last finishing on that audit. So we should have a draft by the 9th, and they'll be coming before you on the 17th to present the final audit. So we're hoping that those things will be preliminary, and before we apply for any funding, of course it will come before you, but I just need to do the paperwork to say to do that. But Mr. Pazel, Mayor of Sauk Village, has said that he will do everything he can in his power to assist us with this emergency funding.
Emergency funding in a form of a grant or a loan?
A loan. That's a low interest loan, and I think it can go for the year 2024, and I believe the interest is somewhere around what? 2 or 3%? It's 2.3% is what they're going for in that loan.
I guess the next question, since we're talking about Lake Michigan water, is when are we looking for a ordinance to come from the village board for the new increases, and or are we waiting to find out if we're going to get this loan so we can add that increase also?
What we need to do is get all our financing in place, Trustee. the temporary loan, we need to assess what all the costs will be. And also, Robinson Engineering's plan was just a broad plan on what if anyone would sell us water, they went for the highest price on the water. So the negotiation is going to be very important on the price. I would envision, and I spoke to Mohan, as well as our other financial consultants, Don Theobald and Associates, to talk about doing a projection and stepping this into in reference to a phase and how much that would be. But the final cost for water, and I believe it was $6 and some change, that appeared in reference was an estimate based on what was out there. But we need to be able to negotiate that.
And I understand that, but at the same time, with the increase in meetings with engineers, attorneys, this is all items and meetings that were not planned for in the budget. So we're looking at, there's going to have to be an increase somewhere so we can continue paying these bills.
One of the reasons why we're asking for $500,000 right up front is so that we can help fund some of this issue. Because if we're looking at our finances based on our enterprise zone, the water itself. So those will be assessed and charged to this project. We're also asking the engineer to give us an assessment of what it would be to take us to the year 2016. Because Robinson Engineering has not done an assessment. If we have to hire a specialist, as Trustee Benson talked about, that needs to be in there. Legal fees going into it. We have not done an assessment, which is the reason why I can't bring it forward as to what the final cost will be. So as we sit here and do the analysis, we should have a price that we can come back to and say how you want to phase this in and what the final cost will be.
And when do you expect it to be?
We're hoping to do so. This has been the lion's share of my day recently. Hopefully by the end of the month, we can bring those back to you for you to review once we've had an opportunity to complete some of our meetings.
I would hope, Ms. Village Manager, that those numbers come back in its perfection. And what I mean by that is all the numbers have been pressed and they have been carefully arranged so that we won't overtax the people if that's the case. But question number one, are you actually looking for just loans or are you looking for grants also? And are you reaching out to the politicians who came here and met with us who said that they would do all they can to help us find funding for our project?
I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder or glory, but the mayor has met with a gentleman, a representative from Central Kirk's office just last week. He asked what some of our issues were. Number one was water, second was economic development. They have contacted us back to say that the earmark days are done. However, they are looking for funding to help us, to assist us, to even offer us some grant writers to help us to get to that point. So I happily gave him several copies of our Robinson Engineering water plan so that he can have the details moving forward. Congressman Jackson's office has been in contact with us as well to follow up to see what we can do. Again, there are no more earmarks, but he was actually very instrumental in getting funding for Fort Heights.
Right.
I believe somewhere between 7 to 10 years ago,
Yes,
when they had some of the same issues. And so he's familiar with that, and he has contacted us to say that he will be moving forward, as well as Senator Trotter as well. He represents us as well as some places in Will County. And this is an issue for some people that he represents in Will County as well. So we're looking for grant funding as well, but I want to give you hard numbers. If we don't have the grants, and then of course, it's always a matter, we can always subtract from to have that money. But because this project is going to be a 4-year project, and we have until the year 2016, we can look at things and do things in stages and steps, but we need to have a general picture of doing this.
okay, having the money is a concern. Not having the money is also a concern. But I'm hearing some trustees say, well, we want to make sure we got the money. This board has just approved money to buy lighting that was not in our budget, but yet they approved money for the lighting. But now they have a problem with trying to get money, making sure we have money for the village of water. Hold on. You did mention about making sure that we have enough money for this or enough money for that, and yet we just approved money that was in the budget. You just stated that, well, we want to make sure that the budget's in the budget, but there was no money allocated for new lighting in that budget, but yet we just went on and approved a huge amount of money for lighting. So let's not go there with the money problem. We have an issue here. We need water for our civilians, our citizens, and we need to get them clear safe drinking water, and that's our main priority right now.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask?
Trustee Burton. No, we have approved anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to hear from you.
Trustee Burton.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just have a couple of thoughts, questions, something that we may have overlooked. First thing, we have to have a contingency plan, which means that if we're not able to connect to South Chicago Heights, what do we do then? Rather than go out and try to secure funding at a cost of $500,000 or whatever, it may be more than that because we may not be able to hook up to that particular municipality, which means that it's going to cost a lot more than $400,000. We need to find, before we go out and secure a loan, we need to make sure that we look at other alternatives. That's the first thing. The second thing, Robinson Engineering is a large engineering firm, very large. I think it's like the third largest in the state. I'm sure if the trustee wants to go out and find someone else to do that, and we got to do checks and backgrounds or whatever to make sure that other firm or that other engineering corporation meets the standards that you're looking for. First of all, you got to have the standards. You got to know what standards to look for. Robinson Engineering, I know they do have experts, engineers on water. But now, if you don't want to take their word for it, maybe the trustee has someone else in mind or whatever. But I do know that they're a large engineering firm. So if we want to spend time trying to figure that out, we can. But in the meantime, I think Robinson Engineering would be suffice. If the board feels that they don't want to use Robinson Engineering, then quite naturally the board will go out for bid and get someone else. So I still like to, first of all, hear all of the contingency plans that we have or that may be in place, because I don't want to just hinge everything on connecting to South Chicago Heights. Because I really don't think we can, because I don't think it's the pipes that were there are big enough, but that's just my expert analysis. And I do know a little bit about piping, but we'll see. We'll see what happens when we come back and do this. So we need, before we can go out and get funding. Also, the trustee alluded to Jesse Jackson getting funding from Fort Heights. Fort Heights is the lowest per capita city in the United States. So it's very easy for them to get funding. They can get a grant for everything because their per capita is the lowest in the United States for a city. So it wouldn't be that hard. I don't know, not saying that we cannot, but just those are the odds. And right now, Fort Heights is behind in their water bill. So there's something we have to think about. So it's not, no one said it's going to be an easy process, bringing water, but you want to bring it proper. You don't want to mislead the people. You want to let them know what it's going to cost. And everyone knows it's going to cost. But we're going to make sure that, I'm pretty sure that we have engineers, we have people here on staff that's not going to let someone come in here and give inferior water hookups or make sure that we test the water all the time. So I'm sure, someone comes in here and hooked up, we're going to make sure that they're going to make sure. We have engineers and we also have public works. We have expertise here, so I don't see why it should be a problem.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, Trustee Benson never alluded to Jesse Jackson on anything. The village manager brought his name up for what he did with Fort Heights. And for everyone's information, the reason why Fort Heights received Lake Michigan water was because they also had contaminated wells, very bad contaminated wells. Not to mention the fact that, yes, they were below the poverty level, but they also had bad contaminated wells. Secondly, the trustee board just alluded that Robinson Engineering was the third largest engineering company. He failed to say civil engineering company. If they are the third largest, they're the third largest silver. They are not environmental, which means they are not water experts. Secondly, if they were that large in what they do, why are we being sued by Illinois EPA? Why is well 3 shut down? Why do we have a high percentage of leakage in our water tank, or our water piping? Why is well number 1 just close to being shut down? Why is our water contaminated right now? And Robinson Engineer has been our engineer company for many, many years. They need to be removed as our engineering company. Period. Period. We need to make sure that this thing stops right here, Mr. Mayor. The people came out, they utilized the electoral process, and they said they want safe drinking water, Lake Michigan water. We need to make sure we have the best people on hand to help bring that Lake Michigan water into our citizens. Our citizens are our #1 priority, not the village board, our citizens, from the eldest to the least. Our main objective. Thank you.
Let me just say that we all understand that we have to meet the mandate of the IEPA. Now we also have to meet the mandate of the citizen who voted for Lake Michigan water in the past. But the #1 thing, the first and most priority thing is we have to put together a plan. That's the first thing we have to do. And I think I want to commend the village manager with putting together that plan, so not only that the board will be able to see, but for you will be able to see and follow along with where we are and where we plan to go in stages. We have to reach out to those that's going to help with this plan, preliminary plan. We have to reach out to those that can help bring funding to be able to fund the project. So let's not just continue to fight. This project has to be in place and in stages and reached by the time that we're mandated in 2016. So the first priority is to put together a plan, and that's what the village manager is doing now. And you will be able to see, you'll be able to follow along. There is nothing that we're going to be hiding from you. You'll be able to see every stage of this plan or this project, so you'll be able to see where we are at each and every step of the way. So again, I want to thank the village manager and commend her for taking the lead on this. And I know how much time that it's going to take, because I was involved with the Wind Pack project, and I know what kind of effort and time you spend with engineers, the time you spend with finance people, the time you spend on the phone getting back to the attorneys and things. And it is a huge project that we have embarked on. And we want to take every step to make sure that we follow all the mandates of the IEPA and all of those that's going to be involved in helping seeing that this project fulfilled.